All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Well, folks, it's the month of March. Spring is in the air. We're talking about the World Baseball Classic going on, and it's been as good as advertised and then some. So, with all of that said, the start of the 2026 Major League Baseball season is right around the corner. Right now, I want to take this opportunity to talk about all things in the American League East. Now, last year, we saw three teams from this division make the postseason. Of course, the division champs and the Toronto Blue Jays got all the way to the World Series. In the wild card round, we saw the Yankees and Red Sox get it on. Then in the divisional round, we saw the Yankees and Blue Jays get it on. So I think we are in store for a very intense 2026 MLB season in this division, as far as I'm concerned. It's the best division in baseball. All five of these teams within here got better. I think it's going to be at a premium to win those divisional games, as many divisional games as possible. Remember, you only play your divisional opponent 13 times now in comparison to 19 times. And I think it's going to be important to take care of your business in those games as well as your business in the games outside of your division. But like I said before, this AL East is going to be as good as advertised and then some this year. I really do think all five of these teams have what it takes to finish with not only a winning record, but all five of these teams have what it takes to make a push at getting postseason spots. And I want to start off with the team that most people love to hate, and that's the New York Yankees. Granted, they didn't win this division last year. They were tied with the Toronto Blue Jays for the top spot, but of course the Jays got the tiebreaker. And if you're the Yankees, you have to ask yourself, okay, had we have been able to win this division last year, would our postseason outcome have been possibly different? There's a possibility to that. I mean, you remember the Yankees and Jays finished at 94 and 68, but of course Toronto dominated the regular season head to head, and then they took care of the Yankees in four games in the divisional round. So if you're the Yanks, you want to say we got to win this division, possibly get that first round bye, and hopefully it can propel us to getting back to the World Series like we were in 2024, and at this point, potentially winning it. But you look at the Yankees, okay, like I said, they finished at the top spot with the Jays, okay, but they got to try to find a way to get over that. And they've got the lineup, or they got the team rather, to go out there and do it. First things first is another big season on the horizon for outfielder Aaron Judge. We're talking about a guy who has won the American League MVP in 3 out of the last 4 years, put up monster numbers. Okay, last year the only thing that prevented Judge from winning the Triple Crown was the big season that Cal Raleigh had for the Seattle Mariners. If you remember, Judge led the AL in hitting at 331, 53 homers, 114 runs batted in. And I'll tell you like this: as Aaron Judge's career has progressed, he has become a better all-around hitter of the baseball. Remember his first full year back in 2017. Yes, he hit 52 home runs, but he struck out more than 200 times. He's a guy who can consistently hit for 300 right now, spray the ball to all parts of the field, and of course, he puts the fear in so many opposing pitchers when he comes up, especially when guys are on base. So aside from Aaron Judge, you look at this lineup and the gang is all back. I think it was big for the Yankees to re-sign Cody Bellinger. He finally gets the multi-year deal that he has been seeking or had been seeking for quite some time. And I feel like Cody Bellinger's bat is meant for that short porch down the right field line at Yankee Stadium. Of course, the Yankees, they know that Trent Grisham picked up his option for this season. They were hopeful that he didn't do it, but he did. I don't blame him because he wasn't going to get that money from anybody else. But can he have another season like he did last year, where we saw him hit 34 home runs? You got to wait and see. No team in baseball, all right, hit more home runs than the Yankees did last year. The Bronx Bombers, they lived up to their name as they hit 274. You've got the likes of Ben Rice and Jazz Chisholm, who are definitely want to add their names to things as well. And I think if everybody is on the same page for this Yankees lineup, it could once again be a very long summer for opposing pitching staffs around baseball that have to deal with this team. You look at, speaking of pitching staffs, for the Yankees, it's an embarrassment of riches. Okay, you think about it. The return of Garrett Cole to this rotation is going to be huge. He missed all of 2025 due to Tommy John. He's not going to be ready to go right away. But nonetheless, I truly would anticipate the Yankees using the kid gloves on Garrett Cole as the season progresses. And they should, because you don't want to rush him, A, but B, you don't have to rush him due to the depth that you have in your rotation. Last year in Cole's absence, we saw Max Fried really step up after the Yankees gave him that big deal to come over from the Atlanta Braves. He went 19-5 with a sub-3 ERA. Will they be able to get another season out of him like that once more? Cam Schlittler and Will Warren, two young guys that really, improved as the season went on for the Yankees last year. Can they be able to build off of that? We got to wait and see. You've got Luis Heel in this mix. You've got Carlos Rodon, who has won a combined 34 games over the last 2 years. My one question for the Yankees pitching staff is going to be their rotation. Okay, I mean their bullpen, excuse me. And the reason why I say that, 26 of your 43 saves from last year are now in Queens. Both the Mets signed both Devin Williams and Luke Weaver away from the rival Yankees. Okay, we saw the Yankees go out and get Camilo Doval last year before the trade deadline from the San Francisco Giants. He struggled. Will year two be different for him in the Bronx? That's going to be a big question. You also have the likes of Tim Hill and David Bednar down there in the bullpen for New York. Will they once again be solid? My thing is, this is probably one of, if not the best teams that Aaron Boone has going into the season. Let's just see if everything comes together this year for the Yankees. Then you've got the Jays. And I mean, you think about it, Toronto was as close as you could possibly be to winning the World Series. That was an epic World Series between the Jays and the Dodgers last year. Somebody had to lose it, okay? And unfortunately, for the Jays, it was them. So, with that said, you have to wonder if there's going to be any hangover from that going into this season for Toronto, or will they be able to build off of that and come back stronger? Toronto had some losses to the roster, but they also had some improvements as well. First things first, you've got Vlad Jr. And since Vlad Jr. got that big deal to basically be a lifer with the Jays, um, it sparked something in him. We saw Vlad come into the season last year in the best shape of his career. We saw him really show up in the postseason for this team. And more importantly, talent aside, we're seeing Vlad Jr. become the leader that the Blue Jays need him to be. Okay, that's going to be big. We saw Toronto lose Bo Bichette in free agency. Of course, he wasn't there for the bulk of the season last year due to injury. He went on to sign with the Mets, but nonetheless, he's still going to be missed. You have veteran outfield designated hitter George Springer. We saw Toronto a couple of off seasons ago spend big money on Anthony Santander. Didn't work out last season. It's going to be tough this year because he's going to be out for the bulk of the season with an injury. But I look at this Blue Jays pitching staff, and as much as we talk about this lineup, and as much as I talked about the Yankees pitching staff, Toronto is right there. You've got the likes of veterans Kevin Gossman and Shane Bieber. They spent big money on Dylan Cease, okay, in the offseason. And then, of course, the youngster like Trey Savage. We saw what he could do for the Jays during their run to the World Series. And let's not forget their bullpen with the likes of Jeff Hoffman. John Schneider pushed all of the right buttons for Toronto last year as we saw a 20-game improvement. This team is once again going to be a force to be reckoned with in this division. Speaking of teams that are looking to bounce back, the Baltimore Orioles. We saw Baltimore, they made the postseason for 2 years in a row, and injuries really did them in as they finished in last place in this division. They only won 75 games. But if you're the Orioles, you can sit back and say, well, wait a minute. The Jays finished in last place in 2024, and look how they turned things around in 2025. Why not us? Okay. Baltimore usually is not known for spending big money in the offseason, but that's what they did this over the winter as they got slugger Pete Alonso to come from the Mets and join them. It's one of those you look at last year, no Oriole player hit more than 20 home runs or hit at least 20 home runs for the season. That's going to change with Pete Alonso. Last year, Baltimore as a team hit 191 home runs. For Pete Alonso's career, he's hit 264 and he's averaged 42 a season. Last year with the Mets, he hit 272, 38 home runs, 126 runs batted in, 41 doubles. And I guarantee you, he is going to love the fact that those fences were brought in even more at Camden Yards. And I think he's going to fit in a very big way to this Oriole lineup. Like I said before, Baltimore was injured last year. They're hopeful to get the likes of Adley Rutschman back behind the plate. He only played in 9 games last year. Having a healthy Ryan Mountcastle is going to mean something, along with the likes of Gunnar Henderson and Jackson Holliday. The Orioles pitching was not great last year. They were 13th in the American League in team ERA, as well as being 10th in quality starts. Kyle Bradish continues to work his way back in this rotation from Tommy John. We saw Baltimore during spring training pick up veteran pitcher Chris Bassett. That's important because he's a professional pitcher and he knows how to eat up innings. Baltimore's got a new skipper in Craig Albernaz, and he walks into a situation where the expectations are for the Orioles to contend for this division title and be a postseason team. Will they be up for the challenge? We've got to wait and see. Another team that made the postseason from this division last year, the Boston Red Sox. And, Boston was in a unique position because we saw them do more with less. And it's something that you don't think of when you think about the Red Sox. They haven't been spending as big lately. They've still been spending. Okay. But I think this team just flew under the radar last year with manager Alex Cora, and for them, that's fine. Okay. It didn't get off to the strongest start. We saw them lose Alex Bregman to the Chicago Cubs, but they did pick up catcher slash first baseman Wilson Contreras in a trade with the St. Louis Cardinals. That's going to be big right there. Roman Anthony in the outfield. The Boston organization is very high on this kid. He hit 292 in 71 games last year for the Red Sox. Can he be able to build off of that? Trevor Story was finally able to be healthy last year for the Red Sox. And then you've got Jaron Duran, a guy who simply just goes out there and knows how to do it all. And he kind of fits into the mentality of the city of Boston. Okay. This pitching staff, you got Garrett Crochet. He won 18 games last year after the trade from the White Sox. We saw Boston go out there and pick up veteran Sonny Gray from the St. Louis Cardinals. How is he going to factor into things in this rotation? You still got veteran reliever Aroldis Chapman. And like I said before, with Boston and manager Alex Cora, it's one of those, it doesn't look pretty at times, but they simply know how to go out there and take care of their business. That's a big thing for them. And then finally, you got the Tampa Bay Rays. And the Rays continue to be the little engine that could in this division. They're not going to spend money like the Yankees and Jays, but they always find a way to compete. Last year, it was tough for Tampa. They had to relocate. They could not play at the Trop due to the damages at the stadium from the hurricane. They played their home games last year at Steinbrenner Field, the home minor league home of the Yankees. So basically, the Rays played 162 road games. But through all of that adversity, they still found a way to salvage a fourth place finish in this very competitive division. And it's one of those where adversity builds character, and there's a lot of character on this Rays team. We saw the emergence of third baseman Junior Caminero. He hit 45 home runs and drove in 110 last year. You still got Yandy Diaz, who continues to be steady Eddie in the middle of this lineup at first base, and they're going to have to get more out of their pitching this year than they did last year. Okay, they got to get more from the likes of Ryan Pepio as well as Shane McClanahan, and can they stay healthy? But for manager Kevin Cash, just like all of the Joe Madden before him, the Rays don't have the most talented team in the division, but they go out there and they find a way. I look at this division, and because it's going to be so competitive, it's going to be important to win as many division games in the head to head as possible. It's also going to be important for you to go out there and take care of your business in those games against teams that you should be, because we saw last year with the Yankees, they finished tied with the Jays, but they could not overcome Toronto. It's one of those where you want to take care of your business within the division, and you got to take care of your business outside of the division as well. Not trying to sound like an oxymoron, but those games, those divisional games this year, it's only 52 of them apiece. They're going to be so very important. And I think all of these teams want to start strong because you don't want to fall behind the eight ball in this division. I think the Rays have what it takes to finish with a winning record. I'm not sure if there's going to be enough for them to be a postseason team just due to who they are competing with in this division. But I think Boston has the potential to be a playoff team once again, as does Baltimore. But I think this division, once again, is going to come down to New York and Toronto. And I think I'm going to give the edge to the Yankees because of their pitching as well as their lineup. Like I said, this arguably might be the best team that Aaron Boone has had since he became manager of the Yankees from top to bottom. But nonetheless, I think this American League East in 2026 is going to be as competitive as it has ever been. And it would not surprise me. We got three teams from this division last year. It would not surprise me if we got four, meaning that the AL East got all three wild card spots this year in the AL. That's how good it is. But nonetheless, I think this is going to be a phenomenal season for this division. And as always, it's going to be must see TV. But folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank each and every one of you for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. And as always, if you like what you heard and saw on this podcast, you know what to do. Just hit that like button as well as subscribing to the channel. And like I always say, it's greatly appreciated. Also, if you are on the X, formerly known as Twitter, you can check me out anytime at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you give me that follow, it will be my pleasure to do the same in return. And that also goes for Instagram, and you can check me out at 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge. Also, continue to check out this channel for the next week or so, as I will continue my division by division breakdowns for the upcoming MLB season. Also, if you are on Facebook, definitely be sure to check out the Sports Depot 365. And as far as I'm concerned, one of the better sports groups going on social media. But until next time, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I'm signing off, and I'm saying thanks once again for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. Be well, everybody.